Okay, we are back for war number 8. It's hard to believe that we're already 2/3 done with the season, and I'm starting on path 5. And they had some interesting placements here because the champion before this was Hitmonkey. So obviously, you want to use Doom for Airwalker on the ebb and flow knockdown node, but you would need to bring a different counter for the Hitmonkey before that. So what we ended up doing, because at this level of war, normally you're going to assign every single fight and there's not really going to be a backup. It's going to be kind of more like everyone has about like 4 to 7 fights. Essentially, we had somebody bring Apocalypse with Cable and charge them up on the Hitmonkey. And then I took this with Doom because that person was going to have some very tricky Archangel fights, and we wanted to be able to make Archangel a horseman. So it kind of worked out to everyone's benefit, where I didn't need to bring a counter for Hitmonkey, and he was able to get his Archangel charged up. So I make a mistake there and do get hit. But the reason Doom works against Airwalker is he basically turns off any of the abilities that would be annoying, which would mean, he's armor break immune. So if you get any armor breaks on you, the Dark Tide isn't going to do any damage. He can control power. He can control buffs. The things you would have to worry about with Airwalker is the Dark Tide passive, any kind of armor breaks doing direct damage, and also him throwing a special 2 into your block. So I didn't even really need to narrate that because as soon as you see Airwalker, just bring Doom some way or another. And I more wanted to highlight in that matchup that we were a little creative with our lane planning to charge up an Apocalypse instead of me finding a counter. So this next fight was probably the most fun fight for me in the entire war. I've taken Korg here this season with Quake, and the only reason I used Quake was because there was like an Electro on Buffet later, and we were like, let's just send Quake there. So I already had her on my team. But this is a fight that I've been wanting to do since the off season, because I did take it unboosted in the off season, and I made a little bit of a mistake. So I wanted to get revenge on him and use the mutant power back boost. So you need to be pretty comfortable baiting his L1. We do have the House of X pre-fight here, so I'm able to cleanly land my parries all the time. And one thing I'm doing different now than I did in the off season is I am not just throwing heavies. I'm occasionally throwing combos to get those prowess down, because if I do make a mistake on the L1 evade, it's going to lead to some pretty nasty hits to the face. And that's actually what pretty much did me in the off season. Now, it is of note that this person is running, which one is it? Double Edge, which is the bleed mastery, because recoil is at play, but if I do get hit, it hurts more. So that's just interesting to note. But my goal was to get to 100 of the telepathic charges or whatever they're called. And now we just spam specials. And this, I used a lot of boost because I wasn't sure if I would need the 200% or the 150%, but obviously the 150% mutant power back boost would have been fine because he just got obliterated at the end there, and that was cool. I don't get to use Professor X that much, but he just perfectly counters that fight, which has Mix Master, so he completely turns off the evade. And then, if you can just bait the L1, you're good. And because he has the energy-based attacks, he's never going to be taking any damage back from the Rock Hard Thorns. It's just pretty much a match made in heaven, especially with the power back boost. So I hope you enjoyed that because I had a lot of fun there. And in this current war plan, I put myself on lane 5 again, just because I needed to take MODOK hazard shift a little bit later. So I already had Falcon on the team, and then I already had Doom for Nova after this. So what this fight is going to showcase is the drawback to Falcon, because I'm not playing this fight well. I start this fight as if I'm fighting a Thing boss. I am like treating him as if he's stun immune for some reason. Either that or I just can't land a parry to save my life. But I dash back at the beginning. Then I parry him there, and I was like, oh wait, parry is active. Because I've taken him a lot as the big boss, so I'm expecting my well-timed blocks to not land. That's just really dumb, because this is ebb and flow intercept. It has nothing to do with stun immunity. So my lockdown is off. So at this point, I want to get him to 15 rock charges so that he can throw a special one and cancel them out. One aspect of this node that I'm not taking advantage of, that I don't take advantage of until the very end, as I throw this special 3, by the way, to create a little bit of distance, is that because of the defensive ability accuracy reduction of Falcon, if I trigger an intercept while locked on is on, I can actually turn off ebb and flow intercept for the rest of the fight. But I had such a shaky start to this fight with me forgetting that parry was active that I actually didn't land an intercept until right there. So now, as you can see, the protection from the node itself, as well as the passive fury that I would get from landing an intercept, is gone. However, I'm in a little bit of trouble here because I can't get him to bait this special 2. I got hit again, and now we're in go mode. I just need to clutch this fight out. I don't have my locked on at this moment, so I need to just kind of get him to 15 rock stacks, but at that point he just goes down. So highlights of that fight are that Falcon is able to control the rock stacks. Falcon is able to turn off the node if you time it correctly, but also what you saw there is he has enough damage even if you don't land a single intercept to get him down easily within the 5 minutes. So when the fight started getting a little out of control for me, I was worrying less about intercepting and worrying more about surviving, and I was able to get it down. But that was certainly not a showcase of my best gameplay, guys. Sorry about that. So next up is this Nova here. When we had that high ground tactic, he was pretty annoying here because of the ebb and flow intercept. By the way, I did just land an intercept there. What I found with this node is you are sometimes able to land an intercept just at the very beginning of the fight because it's pretty easy to cancel out his Nova charges and then hope that he kind of falls right into one of your light attacks. So I did get like a little bit of damage off at the beginning there. But for the rest of this fight, I'm just kind of treating this as if it were a like not ebb and flow intercept, because I know Doom has enough damage to just get him down even with the damage penalty. So as I was saying before, this node was a lot more annoying in the off season when we had the high ground tactic, because if you had to block a special 2, which I accidentally pushed him a little bit too high on his power and had to block a special 2, then it would do extra direct damage, which the extra block proficiency of Dr. Doom would not mitigate. So in general, you want to be baiting the special 1s, which I'm personally very comfortable with from practice. And I'm just kind of not doing a full Doom cycle here, meaning I'm not going to throw this L2, because if you throw an unblockable special attack, it has like a damage penalty against Nova. So it's really not going to do much of any damage at all. And aside from missing the mini game there on my L3, which whatever, I'm just trying to stack 2 Furies just to increase my damage. So now I've got the back-to-back L3s, and now we sort of go back to a regular Doom cycle. Because we're controlling his buffs, because we're controlling his power, and because we have these Furies, I'm not at any risk of this fight getting away from me. I'm doing a lot of light hits just so that I can keep him at the special 1. And I think, do I throw an L2 to finish this off? I don't quite remember. But a little pro tip is I will occasionally, actually I guess I get to the L3 again, but you can throw the L2 against Nova when you don't have your aura, and it actually does a decent amount of damage because of the incinerates, as long as like Mighty Charge doesn't cancel them out. So I will often, do a Doom cycle and then throw an L2 when it's not unblockable, because then you get the full damage on the hit and it's not punished by Nova's kit. So just a little interesting way. That fight usually stays within control, and you can even, like I blocked a full L2 and it didn't do that much damage against me. So Doom is just the way to go there. And there's going to be Dooms on your attack team for sure. So it just happened to be me this time, but it could easily have been, any of the other great Doom players that we have. So we have one more fight, and I took this earlier in the season, and Falcon is a really good counter to MODOK here, but there are some caveats. And, as you saw with the Thing fight, the issue with Falcon on any node, but this is Hazard Shift and it's MODOK who can increase his abilities above 100% with his Flux. The issue with Falcon is anytime there's some form of modification of ability accuracy, then he's not going to be a perfect counter. And we're seeing more and more in the game where things are above 100%. And in this MODOK's case, he has the ability to get to 115%. So I'm trying to be really aggressive because the worst thing that can happen in this fight is to get backed up. As you can see, I did get an Incinerate on me, and I've talked about this before. Now I got 2 poisons on me. So the Flux has gone over 100% a couple times now, to the point where I'm actually getting a solid amount of debuffs against me, which was more than the last time I took this fight. The other thing about Falcon is, 100% ability accuracy reduction on defensive abilities is really OP, but it comes at a cost, which is that you need to change your fight flow in the middle. You need to idle, you need to wait for that timer to come back. And the longer that happens, the more likely you are to make a mistake, like I just did running into his heavy there. Normally I just dash back once and I'm good. So now I've lost locked on again. I need to just kind of stall, which isn't fun. I don't want to just be blocking and waiting for this thing to come back. I'm very likely to make a mistake, and I believe I even do make a mistake one more time before this fight is over. Right there, I tried to do a light intercept or something and I got comboed to the face. So backed up against the corner, I just throw the L1 and that's enough to kill him. So I did recover from that, but as you can see, I just wanted to highlight that Falcon is by no means a perfect champion. I think he's very well balanced, because when locked on works and when it's on, it's one of the most powerful abilities. I was not only turning off auto block, but I was mostly turning off the hazard shift as well for the entire fight. I only got 3 procs of the debuffs over a long fight like that, which isn't bad at all. The RNG wasn't too punishing in that case. But his change of flow when you fight him, definitely compared to a champion like Killmonger or Elsa Bloodstone, who's one of my favorite skill champions, they all do different things. They all counter different things and they all have their own weaknesses. But, it is important to note that Falcon does have his weaknesses, even though he's a lot better now after his buff. So I do want to just show you this graphic that this was our first perfect performance as a battle group of the season, which is really exciting. I actually helped plan this war. We always do it as a team, but just sort of the way that it worked, I sort of got the spreadsheet started, and it was not necessarily the easiest war. I remember there were some very difficult decisions about how are we going to counter this person here, and it ended up being kind of a really fun war. Everyone was just on their A game and our BG, and we got the donut, the perfect 165. So hopefully we see more of that. We have a lot of new folks that have just joined SSx and are in this BG, but it really is coming together to be a super strong BG with great leadership, and we're having a great time this war season. So I hope you enjoyed this video and my commentary. Definitely not my best war, but it was kind of fun to see some new counters and a boss fight at the end. And yeah, thanks again for your support, and I will catch you guys in the next one.